We'll come to order. I want to please rise. We'll salute the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. President,
Councilor Clancy.
I would like to ask that agenda item number 4 be brought up to the first item in the agenda this evening.
4 and 5.
Yeah, 4 and 5, Councilor Clancy.
4 and 5.
4 and 5. All those in favor of moving 4 and 5 up? All those opposed? Carries.
The communication from the solicitor regarding Order 03-113B. Pursuant to your request for a legal determination of Council Order 03-113B, please be advised that pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 16 of the Acts of 2003, the City Council may, by majority vote, appoint at any time a person of its choosing to fill the current vacancy in the office of Ward 7 City Councilor, which expires January 5th, 2004. I trust this answers your questions on this issue. If I can be of further assistance, please feel free to contact me. Sincerely yours, James Golden, Jr. In the agenda, item number 5 is the communication from Council President Hunt to the mayor. Per vote of the Marlborough City Council by council order adopted August 25, 2003, I am pleased to invite you to the City Council meeting of November 17, 2003, at which time the City Council will officially appoint Councilor-elect Richard Toll to fill the seat of his beloved wife, Natalie. In accordance with the City Charter, please stand ready to place your signature on said vote. Immediately thereafter, the City Clerk will administer the oath of office to Mr. Toll. The City Council is honored at this time to endorse the selection of Mr. Toll as successor Ward 7 Councilor, as per the mandate of the voters on November 4th, 2003. And we are pleased to invite you, Mayor Morrow, to join with the City Council to complete the required process. Sincerely, Dennis C. Hunt, President.
Accept the motion to appoint Mr. Toll.
Motion so made.
Motion is made and seconded to appoint Mr. Toll as the councilor in Ward 7. All those in favor? All those opposed? That carries. If the two chiefs would escort Mr. Toll up, we would, up to the well, we will have the clerk give him the oath.
Thank you, Chief. If you would repeat after me. I, Richard R. Toll,
I, Richard R. Toll,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
and I will support the Constitution thereof,
and I will support the Constitution thereof,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I, Richard R. Toll, Jr.,
I, Richard R. Toll, Jr.,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform all the duties
discharge and perform all of the duties
incumbent upon me as a City Councilor of the City of Marlborough,
incumbent upon me as a City Councilor of the City of Marlborough,
according to the best of my ability and understanding,
according to the best of my ability and understanding,
agreeably to the rules and regulations
agreeably to the rules and regulations
of the Constitution and the laws of this Commonwealth.
of the Constitution and the laws of this Commonwealth,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Just one copy.
You can do both. You can keep one. Okay, then I'll just a second.
The election's over, Dennis.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Best of luck. Last,
Thank you, and congratulations, Dick. It's great to have you down here. Item number 1,
Minutes of the City Council meeting of November 3rd, 2003.
Mr. President,
Council Pope.
could we amend the minutes to reflect that I abstained from the discussion on the Richmond Company?
It's on the order, just didn't get in the minutes.
Thank you.
Motion is made and seconded to accept the minutes as presented by Council Pope. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carries. Item number 2,
Is a communication from the mayor. I am writing to request a transfer of $10,000 from the city engineer account to the professional and technical services account. This transfer allows Public Works Commissioner Lafreniere to hire temporary assistants in the engineering department to fill the void created by the resignation of city engineer Pat Clancy. Commissioner Lafreniere has identified an individual who would be willing to take on this responsibility, Mr. Paul W. Junta, professional engineer. With these funds, Mr. Junta will contract with the city and assume the role of acting city engineer until such time as Commissioner Lafreniere can name a replacement. Mr. Junta has been serving as an alternate member of the City Zoning Board of Appeals and has served in the past as Marlborough City Engineer for 1 year before leaving for Newton, where he served as city engineer for 22 years. Mr. Junta's role will be to oversee the engineering department and offer as much assistance as he can while serving as acting city engineer. To expedite this appointment, I respectfully request the council suspend rules this evening to approve this transfer. I have asked Commissioner Lafreniere and Attorney Golden to be present this evening to answer any questions you may have. Thank you, William J. Morrow, Jr., Mayor.
Council Virgin.
Please refer to the Finance Committee, Mr. President.
Motion is made and seconded to refer this to the Finance Committee. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carries. Item number 3.
It's a communication from the mayor. I am writing to request the appointment with your approval of the following members to the Youth Commission: Brian Murphy of 34 Allen Road and Jason Webster of 79 Preston Street. Enclosed, please find the recommendation of these individuals from Peggy Ayers, Chair of the Youth Commission. Mr. Murphy's appointment will fill the vacancy left with the resignation of Anthony DeBono, while Mr. Webster's appointment will fill the commission with its 7 members. These appointments would be for 3 years and expire in 2006. Thank you, William J. Morrow, Jr., Mayor.
Council Pope.
Please refer to Personnel.
Motion is made and seconded to refer to Personnel. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carries.
Number 6.
Item number 6.
Here's a communication from the solicitor regarding the street acceptance of Bellows Circle and Kenny Lane. I have enclosed the proper order of acceptance for the above referenced streets. Said order is in proper form for your consideration and acceptance. The city engineer has reviewed the submittal and approved same. Please feel free to contact this office should you have any questions regarding this matter. Very respectfully, James Golden, Jr.
Okay, this had been approved once, so we can just vote to approve it again with the
Motion to
correct
approve.
form. Motion is made and seconded to approve. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carries. Item number 7.
Here's a communication from Councilor Vigent regarding the resolution for the Advanced Math and Science Academy Charter School. I have spoken to Assistant Superintendent Petrant regarding the potential impact of the proposed Advanced Math and Science Academy Charter School on funding for the Marlborough School Department. I have filed a resolution on the November 17, 2003 agenda asking for City Council support of the school committee's resolution, asking for a moratorium on the approval of new charter schools until a fair and equitable system is developed to determine the actual average cost per pupil who leaves an existing public school system to transfer to a charter school, so as to not take away additional instructional services from those students who remain with the existing public school system. Toward that end, I have asked that Superintendent of Schools Boniface and Assistant Superintendent Petrant be allowed to address the City Council on November 17, 2003, to express their concerns on the issue. Sincerely, Arthur Vigent, City Councilor.
Councilor Vigent.
Mr. President, could I ask that we suspend the rules to move up item 16 to work with that along with the item 7?
Motion is made and seconded to bring item number 16 up. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carries.
Number 16, I'm sorry, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Is ordered that the Marlborough City Council go on record in support of the attached resolution adopted by the Marlborough School Committee regarding the Advanced Math and Science Academy Charter School, submitted by Councilor Vigent.
Arthur?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Petrin came in and saw me a couple times over the last couple of weeks because of the issue of a possibility of a charter school coming to the city and the concerns that the school committee and the school department have with the loss of funds because of a possibility of a charter school coming to the city. I want to state right now, I am personally not against charter schools. I think everyone has their own opinions on them. I think alternative methods within the system is a good thing. You know, having a little competition is a good thing. But right now, what we have is we have a semi-crisis going on in the state. We've had promises from the state, and here's another one of those mandated promises that came down from the state where they were going to kind of blend in the funding for these charter schools, reimbursing 100% in the first year. That's a great thing for the first year, but they only funded 38% of it. So again, the state's telling us we have to do certain things, but they're not giving us the funding for it. There's other things that need to be addressed before they should approve any additional charter schools. And at this point, I am supporting the moratorium for 1 year to give them time to address some of these concerns that communities have, including ours here in Marlborough. And then from that point on, then if they go forward with the charter schools, I don't have a problem with that. I am not opposed to charter schools. With that, Mr. President, if we could hear from the superintendent and assistant superintendent to discuss this a little bit, and they can get into some of the particulars.
Motion is made and seconded to suspend the rules to allow the superintendent and the assistant superintendent to say a few words. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carries. Superintendent Boniface, Mr. Petrin.
Thank you for having us here tonight, and certainly thank you for taking an interest in one of the major concerns that's facing us financially as we are living through the FY04 budget and anticipating the FY05 budget. As you know, we received a proposal for the Advanced Math and Science Academy Charter School that will affect at least the communities of Marlborough, Hudson, Maynard, and Clinton if it's approved. And if you don't have a complete proposal, we certainly can give you one. What we've been trying to do is talk to a number of people about the impact of this charter school on Marlborough if it's approved. Mr. Petrin has developed a primer, basically, of information regarding charter schools. And essentially, it walks through, and I think you all have copies of it, it walks through the legislation that has created charter schools, talks about the kind of charter schools, talks about the number of students who may be going to charter schools, the priorities in enrolling students, student selection processes, funding in particular, and the impact on a district, as well as many other things. Clearly, we're here to talk about the potential impact on Marlborough. There's absolutely no new money that comes with a charter school. What happens in terms of financing a charter school, and the phrase is oftentimes used that the money simply follows the students. What happens is a new school is created by diverting already existing funds that have, up till now, been part of the school district or part of the city's allocations. We're enormously concerned that when we calculate the tuition rate, and it's calculated for us, the cost at this year's rate is $8,753 that would be going with each student who would be a resident of Marlborough in attending this particular charter school or any other charter school. The school that's proposed, when it's fully enrolled, intends to enroll 966 students, grades 6 through 12. And even if we look at a proportion of those students based on the population of each of the 4 affected communities, we would be looking at the loss of extraordinary amounts of money. There has been, to soften the blow of the loss of money, a state reimbursement program in place, kind of a transitional program, which, as Councilor Vigent said, was intended to be funded first at 100% for the first year, 60% for the second year, 40 and then 0. The funding that's available currently in this year's budget is about 38% of that amount of money. So the impact would be immediate. There is absolutely nowhere to take it except from those areas that would impact instruction. You can't take it from fixed costs. You can't take it from heating the building. You can't take it from the administration. You can't take it from debt that's owed by the city. It has to come from services to students. I know that we've been talking about enrollment, and oftentimes we look at charter schools or any other school that might come to the city as a relief. While you're complaining, Mrs. Boniface, about the kids that you have in the schools, if a charter comes, wouldn't it be nice for you because we'll just take these kids and put them somewhere else? I'm extraordinarily concerned that when we looked at a master plan for the kids in our Marlborough Public Schools and we knew that enrollment was increasing, we understood that the city said we couldn't go forward with phase 3 of the master plan because we couldn't fund it at the moment. You're not going to have a choice in that. If we have a charter school in Marlborough, we're going to be funding a new school. And we're going to be funding it with existing resources that are now being used for the current students in the Marlborough Public Schools. The proposal, and again, I don't think anybody wants to come out and say we're opposed to parents having options or parents making choices that are appropriate for their students, for their children. It's very appropriate for parents to make choices in the best interest of what their children need. But one of the things that's in the proposal is a real disparaging, I believe, of the quality of education that we have in Marlborough as well as in the other 3 communities. And I find that very offensive. I find that a proposal is put forward that says that professionals don't live in Marlborough. They choose not to live here because of the low quality of education that's available. That's clearly not true. We don't have a low quality of education here at all, and yet that's in the executive summary and appears several times in the proposal that has been at the Department of Education and clearly has made it to the final round of proposals. We also, and I have to question the need, the availability in Worcester of the Mass Academy of Math and Science for students who choose to focus extensively in these 2 areas, and we have had a success of several students going there. We have had a collaboration with Worcester Polytech, and this is with Worcester Polytech. It's housed right on the college campus where students who really want to focus in this area can spend part of their high school career there and extending and doing college work in their senior year. I'm concerned about not just the drain on finances, but I'm concerned about the drain on involved parents. Whenever parents make a choice about where they want their children to go, it means that they've thought about it enough to say this versus that. I'm very concerned that in our schools we may be faced with parents making choices that may adversely impact what we have to deal with. And I want to also say that I'm concerned that when I look at the founding members and when I look at anybody who's listed by name in this proposal, there's only one name of a Marlborough resident in this whole list of 15 people. Charter schools, in my reading of the law, in my understanding, is for choice of peoples who are coming together around common needs, saying that I want to do something for these children. It can be groups of parents, it can be groups of teachers, it can be groups of community members. But clearly this proposal is from people who do not live in this community, who have decided to use our demographics and say, here in fact is a good site. Let's include Marlboro, Hudson, Maynard, and Clinton. And because their scores are at the state average or slightly above, we can, in fact, go in and say we can deliver a school and a curriculum and outcomes that are better than what they're currently delivering. I'm urging you, and I hope that if you have questions that we can answer, to adopt a similar resolution to what the school committee adopted on November 12th, because this school, if approved, and the approval would be in February, school opening in September of 2004, with approximately 267 6th and 7th graders, it will have an enormously negative financial impact on us. And whatever questions you have, and certainly Mr. Petron has the answers in terms of the finances, would be happy to entertain.
Thank you, Ms. Bonifay. Any questions from the council? Councilor Rossi?
Thank you, Mr. President. To Rosemary and John, excellent job on the package. I do have questions, and if you'll bear with me as I walk through some of the questions, you can enlighten me and see how I did. It says that the final applications are due November 14th. Can I assume that
Yes.
the charter school application is in with the state?
It is. I called the Department of Education on Friday and I asked if they had received a final proposal, and they had. I also asked when I was going to get a copy of it because we have a chance to respond to it when there are public hearings. I, to date, have not received a copy.
Okay, that brings me to my second point. Also in here, you mentioned that we have a comment period where we're allowed to, not only city council, school committee, but also members of the community as well, to respond and voice their opinions, pro or con, on this. So we don't have a date or range of dates when those comments are due yet?
There are 3 public hearings that are scheduled the week of January 12th through the 16th. We have not been told which particular date and location of the hearing that this particular proposal will be heard at, but I have requested that information, and I am certain I will get that information. As soon as this proposal is assigned to one of those locations and one of those dates, we will get that out, and that's a formal opportunity to respond to the Department of Education, who holds the hearing, about our concerns and any objections or counters to what's in the proposal.
Would the intent then be, Rosemary, to go to that public hearing?
Absolutely.
And I guess I'd be looking for some direction on your part, whether it should be just school committee, city council, residents?
Well, my understanding is that it's open to the public, and clearly, I think that the more support that we can have, the better off we would be. We intend to go, school department officials intend to go. I'm sure school committee members will be there. Clearly, if we can have city council and other interested parties attending, that would be a real bonus for us.
So I trust you'll keep the council
Absolutely.
and the public updated as to how this progresses. The criteria that says what allows you to apply for a charter school, the 3 bullets on the page, I look at those and it looks like we satisfy those if I'm, our MCAS scores are adequate, but I don't know what the rules are for a charter school. Is it just...
You're talking about on the second page where it talks about, or the first page?
The second page, the 3 bullets, it says new legislation limits the number of charter schools they can grant, and it says in 1 year they can say, where districts didn't meet certain MCAS scores. I thought we were doing well that we would...
We are, and clearly we don't fall in any particular area that there is less than good performance, but we would have to speak to that at the hearing, seeing
okay.
what evidence they're bringing to say that we're not.
Housing of the charter school, will it be in Marlboro, Hudson, Maynard, Clinton?
We don't know yet. I understand that the founding members are working with a real estate person trying to find housing.
Is there an advantage to it being in Marlboro versus another
It would
town?
it would be a greater loss to us of students, I believe, if the location were in Marlboro, simply for convenience sake. Also transportation, because clearly we would have to provide transportation to the same degree we do to the students that we're providing it to now. So there would be an additional cost if it were located in Marlboro for transportation.
The 4 cities and towns that were selected, is that strategically done by the
Yes,
charter
clearly.
school to make their proposal more attractive?
Well, when the charter schools first started, many of them were in the cities, and essentially they were started as an option for parents rather than sending their children to what were called failing schools, schools where the scores were well below the state average. And since that time, there has been, and that's since 1993 pretty much, since that time, there's been a proliferation of charter schools, and now you can see them coming to those areas that are not traditionally considered to have failing schools, but choices. I think that the towns were chosen very strategically because when you look at the proposal and you see compared to, and it lists Lincoln, Sudbury, Westboro, Northboro, Southboro, all of our surrounding neighbors, well, we know that our scores are not the same as each of those communities. We have a very different population from each of those communities, and many of the founding members happen to be from those communities. It would be very difficult to make a case for a need when, in fact, the performance was up in the very high range of performance. Our schools are doing very well. Just to counter some of the information, clearly it says low-quality education available. Marlboro Public Schools, 10th grade MCAS, in the last results we had, 2003, only 8% of our students failed MCAS on the first try in English language arts, and only 8% of our students failed MCAS in math on the first try. That's pretty good. That means 92% of them passed on the first try.
And I agree with you, Rose, but that's why, as I read this, it puzzles me as how they can come up with that conclusion. On page 4, determination of the average cost per student. I'm not sure how you got 40 million, but the breakdown that my math comes up, that totals 36 million. So I'm not sure how all the math adds up, and I'm not here to challenge that tonight. I just want to get an understanding, and I will talk to John outside of the meeting I just want to understand how we arrive at the dollar figures. Maximum impact to the city. The 966 students, as I understand the plan, the school starts first 2 years, grade 6 and 7, and then each year it would add a grade on so that after 7 years you'd have 6 through 12 built up. Now with grade 6 and 7, that would be 267 students. How many would be eligible from Marlboro to fill that 267? 267?
It's not proportional in the sense that, if Marlboro has more students than Clinton or Hudson, they're going to proportionally divide it. If we're named as one of the districts that are in this regional school, there's a priority for all of the students, essentially. And unless there's an overabundance, then they would have to do a priority so that even though there might be fewer students from Hudson or Clinton or Maynard, that we were not taking a spot of one of those students in terms of the priorities. So the sending districts, those 4 districts, have the first priority. Trying to gauge...
is going to be key as to how many students go to that school. So we're not limited.
It's located in Marlboro, the chances are there'd be more Marlboro
More,
people.
yeah.
More pupils from Marlboro versus Clinton.
Simply because of the ease of getting there.
All right, again, just going through, I thought there was a correlation between Marlboro's population was 46% of the 4 cities and towns together. Therefore, Marlboro would be guaranteed 46%.
For modeling purposes, for an estimate, we simply use that number.
Because I'm trying to, if it goes through, the impact isn't $3 million the first year. The impact, unless, well, it can't be because we can't get to the 460 some odd students that
Right.
this report
If
states.
we had 100 students, the impact would be $850,000 the first year.
Okay. And now, that being said, that would be, and I know the arguments here, but I just want to make sure I get both sides of the arguments. You know, increased transportation costs, but then there's less people that are going to be on the buses, smaller class sizes in Marlboro because there won't be as many people there. There's a, I know the fixed costs with heating, building and all that, but I just want to make sure it's all portrayed.
That's leaving out some essential pieces. In most charter schools, there's not only a draw from the public schools, but there's typically a draw from the privates. So we may realize no decrease in class size whatsoever and no decrease in transportation because students who are electing to go to any of the private schools could in fact go from St. John's, well, not for 6th or 7th grade, but they could go from IC, for instance, or St. Bernadette's, or from any of the parochial or private schools directly to the school. We would not be seeing any decrease whatsoever. Also, home-educated students, students who are in approved home education programs, could in fact enter this school, would see no change. And the first year, we wouldn't be charged the $8,573, but the second and subsequent years we would. So there would be a bigger impact on second year for these students who were not coming out of Marlboro Public Schools, but from privates or homeschooling.
In the state reimbursement piece that Councilor Vigeant brought up and you also echoed, I think is key. If we're only, you know, they're supposed to fund it 100% and they're only funding it at 38%, you know, we know who's going to pick up the tab for that, and they all reside here in Marlboro. You know.
But then the third year, it's only a 3-year it's a transition program only. So in the third year, there is no impact funding at all. So you have to adjust over that 3-year period. So after 3 years, there are no funds for those students going through.
I have other ones, John. I guess I'd like to sit down with you and Rosemary just to go over. Final thought. I understand the concept of the moratorium. How successful do you think, I mean, other than making a statement saying, hey, we as a city of Marlboro think we're getting fed something that, you know, we haven't had a chance to evaluate. You know, this will go up to the State House, but they're not going to put a moratorium because Marlboro asked for it.
Well,
the moratorium was passed by the Senate last year, not by the House.
Sure.
There's more strength, we believe, gathering, you know, for a moratorium.
Grab the mic, John.
Sorry, last year, the Senate passed the moratorium, the House did not. And there's more strength being gathered as time goes on, with more communities being affected as to what's occurring here. The issue really is a funding issue. The same amount of dollars for more schools doesn't necessarily work out in this situation. So we're hoping for, we don't know if the moratorium will pass. There's been hearings. Representative Leduc is setting up a meeting with us for Speaker Finneran, you know, on this issue. And we're hoping a moratorium can pass so that the funding issue can be decided. Certainly no one's looking to eliminate charter schools. What we're asking for is a fair playing ground moving forward. There is an advantage here, and it is an advantage for charter schools and a disadvantage for public schools when this occurs.
And that's why I don't want to rule it out in its entirety, but I think the package you presented, you know, there's some good information. I realize how much, I got some homework to do to get both sides of the stories here, and I look forward to working going forward with you. And at this point, I would support that motion as well. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I appreciate the information, and personally, I'm in favor of competition. There's nothing that's better in this country than competition. So my first question, I guess, Rosemary, is you're happy for the competition, you want a fair competition. Is that correct?
Again, I have no difficulty with charter schools. My concern is the diversion of funds that we've been relying on, and there's more than what it costs to educate the child in the charter school that's going with the calculation of the per pupil cost.
Right, charter schools, I think, have been around, what, 7 or 8 years? The funding has been the same. There's been many attempts to reallocate or change the funding, and as you know, whether the moratorium goes in or not, has not been successful for a variety of reasons. But playing devil's advocate for a second, we actually lost 359 students and you figure 25 students per class, and I'm going to play the other side of the equation. That would be about 14 teachers that would lose their jobs, and we'd have less of an overhead. And I'm figuring between salary and benefits, which is probably way low, 60,000 for the average. I have no idea, but I'm just figuring 60,000.
60 is a good number.
Okay, that'd be $840,000 less expenses that we would have. Just if this came into fruition and we lost 359.
Right.
So, and I'm just looking at it, you're seeing a loss of $3.1 million. It'd actually be down to 2 point something. I mean, based on all figures, and I'm not arguing. On the other hand, in addition to that, I keep hearing that the schools are busting out. Back 8 years ago, when the school committee came into the city council, and I was here, they came in with the three plan for the three schools, and the mayor, city council, and everybody agreed. We didn't have the bonding money for 3 schools. We bonded 2 schools at $36 or $37 million. We're up to a bond of probably $48 to $52 million. We only have $5 million left to bond. So there's no hope, realistically, that a third building could be built unless you're going to build it for less than $5 million in Stafford. I mean, that's realistic. So I'm looking at 349 additional students out of the middle school and the high school. It takes a big stress off of our problem of bonding another school. It takes a big stress out of the school itself because you have less, and you get a better opportunity to have smaller classes.
And that's true if the students literally come from our schools.
And there's no way of
But if they come from privates and you're still paying for it, then there's really no relief to the space issue.
And I said I was playing devil's advocate. You're presenting a great case, 100% your way, and which I don't blame you. You'd be foolish not to. And I was just bringing up the possibilities of figures on the other end and the different avenues that, on the municipal side, we're looking at a total budget. It may be advantageous for us to say the charter school is the greatest thing in the world for us because it's going to relieve us of a lot of stress and a lot of money.
Just on your 2 points, the second point, you're absolutely right. We gain space in our schools. But your first point is we lose $3 million for a teacher cost of $850,000. So what happens is we lose $2 million, 2.2 million lost someplace, which means we have to cut additional staff, which means larger class sizes. So the whole key to the building program was basically implementing reasonable class sizes throughout the system, which takes staff to do. But what we're going to have is going from class sizes of 20 to 25 in, the elementary IE up, adding 20% to those class sizes, in there. And now you get into the core of instructional services.
No, I'm just bringing up the other side of the coin.
I hear you, and I'm just countering it.
Think about. Thank you, Mr. President. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilor Toll.
Mr. President.
In the resolution statement, pages 16.2 and 16.3, some of the items address the issue of cost, and I'm in agreement with those. But there are 3 items that call, and they're not numbered, but they happen to be 3, 4, and 5. They call for an investigation, a reputable research, a credible research. All of these seem to somehow challenge the integrity of these charter schools that are now in existence. And in the earlier statement, I heard feelings were hurt over the impugnment of Marlborough's quality of education. This seems to turn the tables and impugn and question, if not attack, the integrity of existing charter schools. I'm just wondering whether we need those kinds of statements in the resolution. Everything else looks good to me.
I'd love to address that, if I could. Essentially, I think that it's very easy to, capture a statement and, listen to people. I talked to one founding member today, and he said, for the past 40 or 50 years, our schools have been declining. And it's easy to, capture and hold that statement and truly believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it at all. And I think that you really need to go into a close examination of, who do we serve, who do we educate? And the conversation I had with this gentleman was, 40 years ago, I was starting high school, and I can remember walking down Liberty Street, and basically on my way to school, I passed by a home, and in the home there was a student who was a special needs student who was not attending school. And at that time, our special needs kids were not in school, okay? Today, our special needs kids are in school. And so I think that public schools and schools in general have been continually widening their reach as to who we educate. And if in fact you say, well, the scores have remained steady, or the scores have declined, or the scores don't show the improvement we expected, well, you're dealing with a different group of kids. You're dealing with more and more children. You read A Nation at Risk, and then you balance it with the manufactured crisis. And you have to look at all of the research and say, what does it really mean? And to the person who just reads the headline in the paper, you might think that education has failed our children. Education has not failed our children. As I said, I don't believe it at all. We have taken on the challenge in American public education of educating all of our children, no matter who they are, as soon as they enter our doors. And then you see in this particular proposal, you know, the TIMS study. The TIMS study compared students who had formal education of 13 and 14 years to our students who had a formal education of 12 years. And again, those international studies. So you have to be a pretty sophisticated user of the research to be able to use it to your advantage. I think this reputable research or credible research really goes to, if you compare the same kids, I know you would find that there are no extraordinary results for charter schools. If in fact charter schools serve the diversity of the population we serve, I do not think that you are going to find that they have extraordinary results in most cases. So credible research to assess student learning and effectiveness for student cohorts, just as what we're doing with No Child Left Behind. You break them down group by group, compare them to the publics from the same sending districts, and see if in fact there's a difference. Or if it's easy to say, well, because they're a charter and because they have this unique style of teaching or innovative methodology. That's what seems to be the public perception. It may not be true. We're not saying that it's not true or it is true. It comes down to, where's the research? Show me the research. And I think we have a right to ask that. And the other piece in terms of enrollment, which really talks about research, having talked to heads of charter schools, essentially numbers are inflated so that they can manage to get off the ground and pay the bills. They have an anticipated enrollment, and based on the anticipated enrollment, they send the bill to Marlboro and say, we have X number of kids, pay us the money so that we can pay our bills. It's an interest-free loan. And so it really comes down to our enrollment can't be inflated. Every one of our students has a SACID, an individual state number. If two districts count the same student, in fact, they ultimately get sorted through, so the Department of Education says, no, Hudson has a student, not Marlboro. We're concerned because the practices in charter schools that we have been told about and clearly have in fact continued have allowed the number to be very high so that the money can in fact be put there, and we're trying to verify it. And again, we're looking for a level playing field. If there is choice, then I think we all have to play by the same rules.
The only thing you left out was, you've explained two of those three bullets very well, and I'm convinced by your argument, but the other one is about reputable research to study the level and effectiveness of innovative learning strategies consistent with the charters of the schools. That one seems to be more of a direct...
I think it comes down to delivering what you say you're going to deliver. I mean, one of the criteria that the charters are in fact evaluated on is their mission and their methodology. And it seems as if what happens in any school is that may change based on who your student body is. In fact, if you cannot carry out what your mission was because your population is a little bit different, then you really need to take a look at, is there a match between who I've got and what I need to do? This is a concept that we have with this proposal. The concept isn't in place yet. It needs to be implemented. And so that correlation between the two is something that really is not checked on. It comes down to the process of approval and renewal of charters is largely a paper process with a minimal site visit of a couple of days somewhere in between. And what we're asking for, we have much more scrutiny. public schools have enormous scrutiny. And so if you say this is what you deliver and this is how you deliver it and these are your kids, then let's take a look at the match and the interplay of this. And so that's really what it goes to. You're welcome.
Mr. President, well, basically, I was going to say exactly what you did, and I'm sure you have done much more research than I've ever done on charter schools at this particular point in time, but I was going to state that in any of the research I've done, I do not see extraordinary results when it is a charter school. So I think that's something you have to bear in mind. And when you talk about competition and a level playing field, I think that's really important and a very valid point. Instead of, I don't want to get into the intricacies of your document, but I believe that's truly important. We have a choice school. I mean, I'm from a choice school here in Marlborough, and the playing field is very level, that offers a different type of educational setting. And I think when we look at what we're dealing with as a city, and I look at the names on there and the fact that you pointed out we're not dealing with Marlborough people bringing this forward, which does concern me. And it does concern me that the document is filled with the insinuation or the outright statement that we offer an inferior education. And I find that personally insulting, and I think it should be insulting to anyone in the council, in the audience, or viewing who has chosen to send their children to the Marlborough Public Schools, because we would not choose bad schools for our own kids. And that's the part of it, I think, and that's more the philosophical end, besides all the research that's going into it. So while I am not opposed to competition, I don't believe anyone is, I am opposed to it when we're elevating one school to this level and then saying another school's at this level. And it's totally unfair, beside the fact that the funding is not there. And it's just with all the mandates that we deal with. It's nice to say we're going to have these things, and now we're only going to fund it at 38%. It's a killer to any school system.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't know about the language being too strong. Do I get a little aggravated? Confidence is a wonderful thing, but arrogance, I think, has gone a little too far in this one. Right after coming to the U.S., I discovered that the school education level here is disastrously bad in many respects. So I felt I should try to contribute to attempt to change the situation, which otherwise may lead to transforming the U.S. to a third world country. So do I get a little aggravated? Yeah, I get a little aggravated. I get aggravated because these people are not only guests of our community, they're guests of our country. And when people come into my home as guests, and they tell me I live in a dump, and they have complaints about my home, I get aggravated. Maybe we pick on each other as a family member around here, but when someone from outside comes in and starts picking on us, yeah, I get a little upset. So, it's one of those things, again, if I can be clear, I'm not against charter schools. I'm probably against this charter school. But at minimum, all I'm looking for is a little bit of breathing time to try to absorb some of the costs that we're talking about here. And with that, I don't know if someone can answer this, but in looking at the calculations for the determination of the average cost per student, which came out to the $8,700, we include in that a lot of the soft costs of the system, the retirements, the health insurance, that type of thing. But then when you went to the maximum financial impact, we only used the core cost of the system, where, we argue back and forth whether our system costs the city $36 million or $42 million. I keep saying it's $42 million, but so they only use for the maximum cost, they only use the smaller number. Am I looking at that correctly?
Absolutely, Councilor.
Yeah. So, I don't know, maybe this is how they learn in Europe. Maybe that's the problem. But that's not how we learn around here. Thank you, Mr. President. And I would like to say that if I'm ready to support this tonight and approve this tonight, if it's the pleasure of the council to refer it to committee and come right back with it at the next meeting, I don't know if that's going to mess anything up. But if the council would rather do that, that's fine. But I'm ready to approve this tonight.
Councilor Katz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Actually, I would agree with Councilor Vigent. In fact, I would be willing to support it tonight and moving it along quickly. The fact that somebody is coming in and taking shots at our school system, I don't think is fair as you articulated. And there's a lot of good information in this package, and I wish the residents of the city could take a look at this package, and I think they'd line up almost 100% behind Mr. Petrin and Mrs. Boniface as well. Some of the information in here about our schools under higher scores. In Marlboro, our MCAS scores continue to rise in spite of the fact that we face a large population of second language learners. Last year, only 3 students failed to pass the MCAS at the 10th grade, and all 3 were second language learners new to our country with special education individual plans. So we are doing good. We are getting people past, as the MCAS scores indicate. At the high school level, another point in here, information that should be passed along to these people who think we're not doing a good job in our school system. The number of advanced placement courses has increased dramatically. We now offer 13 different AP courses. Another comment, last year our SAT scores were the highest ever and surpassed state and national averages with 78% of the students taking them, and over 80% of our graduating students went on to further their education. Again, the numbers are good, the numbers are getting better. These people are doing a great job and continuing to improve our school system. It's not fair to take a shot at our schools. Is it okay to do it internally? Yes. Do we all want to continue to improve our schools? Yes. But the way it's coming out with this charter school, the answer is no. They're unfair comments. This information is something I hope you can somehow make public to people. Let them get an opportunity to put it.
It'll be posted to our website
On a website or something of that nature. And if it is, maybe John, just give the website so people out there can maybe take a look at it.
Yes, we'll have it posted within 2 days to our website. This is also available, through our office. I can email the full document to anybody, and our website is www.marlboro.k12.ma.us.
And if you didn't get that, I'm sure it'll be in the newspapers tomorrow for those willing to read the stories. Question for you. Hudson, Maynard, and Clinton are also being named as part of this charter school. What are those communities doing? Are we shepherding and gathering the troops, so to speak, to make sure that we are as one and we are going in stronger than just Marlboro alone?
Thank you very much, Councilor Katz. When I received the proposal, the first thing I did was I picked up the phone and I called Shelley Berman in Hudson, I called Mark Masterson in Maynard, and I called Ed Philbin in Clinton. And I said, have you received this proposal? They all had. I was alarmed when I saw it, and essentially I wanted to talk right away. We ended up getting together shortly afterwards, and Mr. Petrin met with us as well, trying to talk about the financial impact in particular. We all are learning from one another because, just as Councilor Naraki said, doing research on charters when you've never really had to deal with before is really, a very big learning curve. And fortunately, Mr. Petrin has had experience with it when he was in Harvard, so he's been a tremendous asset as far as getting the information very quickly. But we are unified in the 4 communities doing outreach and doing the same kind of thing. Number one, let's do the dollars and cents picture. And that was the first piece, because that's clearly, a hook in terms of, so let's just imagine the school gets approved, what's it going to cost us next year? So we started with that. We're also doing outreach. We went to the State House and testified essentially for in front of the Joint Committee on Education. We just came from the school council at Kane School tonight, and we're planning to go to all of the school councils and the PTOs and just explain the same kind of information, the same documents that you've received. And the other communities are doing similar things. They are speaking to their legislators, they are speaking to their school councils, their PTOs, they're trying to kind of shake the bushes and say, is there anybody in our communities who feels this way? And again, it's very difficult when you don't have a grassroots in your community that's saying, this is what we want, this is what we need, this is what we demand, but you're trying to do a public education piece, and so we're doing it with all 4.
Well, I would urge you to continue to meet with all those individual PTOs and make sure that the residents understand just how important this is. And the website, I think, will be helpful. and make sure you get the information out. I'm sure you will, as to when these public hearings are, so we can show up en masse. Again, I don't think anyone, even yourselves, I believe, you're not against charter schools. You're just against unfair competition, and I think that's what this is all about. And to Councilor Vigen's point, I would be supporting a move if people want to get this out tonight and approve tonight. I'm all for that as well. Thank you.
Mr. President?
Nancy?
Thank you. I had the opportunity to attend the presentation that the originators of this charter school had before the Rotary Club. And I came away with my own personal opinions of why the school was formulated, and I don't really wish to bring them out here. There is one question I really have is, in the funding process, okay, say if they state that they have 220 kids that are going to attend the charter school, when do they send us the bill? At the beginning of the year or at the end of the year?
The state takes from our Chapter 78. So at the beginning of the year, they take a portion of, based on their estimated numbers that they estimate back in April. So I'm not sure how you can determine what your population will be in September. So the first payment of Chapter 78 is reduced by, I think it's 1/2 in the first payment. The other payments are then adjusted based on actual student enrollment within that school. So in essence, we're going to have, their estimates tend to be high, from what I understand. And so our Chapter 78 gets reduced more up front, which is a funding problem for the city moving forward. So it becomes a cash flow issue.
See, I take a look at this, and okay, so they reduce our Chapter 70 monies down by, say, $1.5 million, okay? Mm-hmm. And they state that they have X amount of students there. Then you find that some of these kids that are going to an advanced math and science academy find that they can't cut the mustard there and decide that they're going back to the public school system. So in other words, they now have an attrition rate going back to the public school system. We now have to make room for them, and we haven't planned for these kids. Okay, so all of a sudden we get 100 kids back out of this. Not saying that this would happen, but in this situation, now we have to refill these classrooms, and you now have these kids going into rooms that already have a very high number of kids in. You know, this will actually cause more problems back in our own system than in theirs. Then at the end of the year, I imagine the state will deduct from that, you know, from that amount of money. But if they've budgeted for it, you know, you kind of wonder where they're going to come up with that extra money. Do you have any idea what they would do?
At this point, no. I mean, basically, they adjust through a Chapter 70. I'm curious to see how transportation and special education works, as you saw from the primary special education. If they determine a student, they cannot educate a student properly within their system, they don't have to send that student back to our program. The parents can choose to go to an outside placement from that school, of which we have no decision in, but the bill comes back to us. So if they go to an outside placement that they determine, a day placement can cost $50,000 and a residential placement can cost well over $100,000 for a typical residential placement. They make that decision, the entire bill comes to us, and we have no say in that decision. So I'm more curious. I think those are the type costs that could, you know, that are unplanned, that could play more havoc with our budget year than the flow of the money. My understanding is, by the end of the year, the number of students are accounted for, and at the end of the year, the actual amount that goes to the charter school is corrected by the end of the year, and so it becomes a cash flow problem for us during the year. But by the end of the year, the number is correct. Yep. Again, my concern becomes special education on the outside placement pieces, that we may educate them in-house. As you know, we've been bringing students back in-house here in Marlboro. We've been expanding our in-house programs at a much reduced cost from the outside placements. But if they don't have that capability there, the parents have the choice to go to outside placement before coming back to an in-house program in Marlboro.
If a SPED plan is, you know, if we have a SPED plan that's assessed for a student presently this year, do they have to follow that SPED plan? They do not have to.
No, they'll determine their own SPED plan going into that school, and they can revise that SPED plan based on their needs, not based on what we can offer. So in essence, they're making the decisions, we're footing the bill, and have no power in the decision-making process.
So in other words, they can, say if a student goes to their school, is not doing well, they can decide that they are special education, and they can then put them in an outplacement and send us the bill.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
What's the pleasure of the council?
Motion to approve, Mr. President.
Make a motion to approve order number 16. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carries.
Back to 8.
Where are we?
Mr. President, just before they leave, on a nice note, I just want to congratulate the Marlboro girls volleyball team for winning the state championship on Saturday, and I think that they should be commended, Coach Lepre and all the girls, and it's a good thing that can happen in the school system. Thank you very much.
Quite an accomplishment.
Yes, it is. First time ever.
Item number 8.
Here's a communication from the Planning Board. At its meeting on Monday, October 20th, 2003, the Planning Board took the following action. On a motion made by Mr. Hanson, seconded by Mr. Coveney, it was duly voted to recommend the City Council accept the proposed change to zoning for the property at Lock Drive with the understanding that it appears to be an appropriate use for land.
Has this been advertised?
Lock Drive is already,
This is in Urban Affairs?
Yep. Refer to Urban.
Does it have to be advertised or anything?
We did approve it.
no, it's in.
No, sir. Okay, this is presently in Urban Affairs, so. Item number 9.
Here's a special permit application of Celco Partnership DBA Verizon Wireless for a wireless communication facility at 860 Boston Post Road East.
Mr. President,
Council Pope?
can you refer this to wireless, set a public hearing for January, and advertise?
Okay, motion is made and seconded to send this to the Wireless Committee, and we'll set a date at the second meeting of January for a public hearing. In favor? All those opposed? Carries. Item 10.
Minutes of the Planning Board, October 20th.
Council
President.
Larson?
Yeah, items 10 through 13 and item 15 are minutes and various reports. Motion to accept and place on file.
Motion is made to accept and place on file items 10 through 13. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carries. Item 14.
Mr. President,
Yes, Council
these are
Russell.
the claims. Motion to send to the solicitor.
Motion is made and seconded to send the claims to the solicitor. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carries. Items number 15.
Mr. President, that's a straggler. Motion to accept and place on file.
Motion is made to accept and place on file. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carries. Reports of committee. Councilor Vigeant.
Thank you, Mr. President. Finance Committee met tonight, took up order number 03100-215, transfer of $50,000 from the overlay account to two separate accounts. Motion was made and seconded to approve 5-0. 03100-192 was a request to transfer $100,000 from computer hardware to computer software. That was approved 5-0. There was a request for a revolving fund, 0310102. That was tabled in committee. Also 0310002, a revolving fund for the Fairmont Hill. That was approved for the Fairmont Hill project, 4-1. And the language for the easterly treatment plant was stricken in that amended approval. Order number 0310044 was also a revolving account for the Board of Health, and that was, there was a motion to deny that carried 5-0. And 0310099 is a transfer for $732,955.22 from open space accounts on our annual payments. That was approved and amended to $153,968.03, and that amended amount was approved 5-0. 03100-231 was a communication from the city solicitor on outstanding litigation issues, and there was a motion made and seconded to accept and file. And I would ask for suspension of the rules on 0310099, the transfer for the open space account, Mr. President.
Item number 6, Councilor Vision? That's only on item number 6.
Yes.
All those in favor of suspending the rules? All those opposed? Carries.
It's Order 03-10099, which was a request by the mayor for a transfer of $732,955.22 from stabilization open space accounts to other open space accounts. Stabilization open space Mellow Farms and Mount Ward. The recommendation of the committee is to amend it to $153,968.03 and to approve the current year payments only, and the vote was 5-0.
Can I just, can you just explain why you changed that, Arthur?
There was a question about the outstanding, the balance in the account because of the purchase on the boathouse that we approved 2 months ago. And with that taken out of the account, there wasn't enough funds in the account.
Okay.
So that's why it was only done for this year. When the transfer comes from the building department, open space fund, to that, hopefully there's enough by the end of the year to do all the payments. These are already committed payments. This is something that's already been approved. This is a transfer to make the payments of the obligations of the city.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the transfer. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carries. Any other reports of committee?
Mr. President,
Councilor Novak.
it's not a committee report. I just wanted to announce that Urban Affairs is going to meet November 24th at 7 o'clock, and we are going to review the order concerning the amendment for Mr. Farrow's rack and roll, and that's the age, the conditions on age of patrons. We're also going to review the sign request for Mr. Farrow. We are also going to be discussing the utilization of the fire station. And lastly, the Route 20 project as far as the Lake Williams area. So those 4 items will be on the agenda for that evening.
Any other reports of committee?
Well, I'm just going to
Any other reports of committee? Okay. Item number 17.
Is order number 03-100-176 regarding the reappointment of Lynn Faust to the Historic District Commission. Committee informed of Ms. Faust's withdrawal of the appointment with recommendation to place on file.
So moved.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the recommendation to place on file. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carries. Number 18.
Is order 03-100-177, reappointments of Lynn Faust and John Busick to the Historical Commission. Mayor informed of Mr. Busick's withdrawal. Recommendation to committee to approve the reappointment of Lynn Faust, 3-0.
Move to recommendation of committee.
Motion is made and seconded to approve Lynn Faust. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carries. 19.
Order number 03-100-178, the reappointment of Priscilla Ryder as the Conservation Officer. Recommendation of Personnel Committee was to approve, 3-0.
Move to recommendation of committee.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the committee's recommendation. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carries. Item number 20.
Is 03-100-188A regarding funds retained by the CDA for affordable housing purposes. The recommendation of the Affordable Housing Committee was to request the mayor to issue a request for proposals to develop a plan for the implementation of legislation and methods to convert existing affordable housing to so-called affordable units that will meet the guidelines established under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40B. And the order still remains in committee.
Councilor
Move to recommendation of committee.
Do what?
That's still in committee, it says here? Is that?
We're going to request the mayor. The
Oh,
order
okay, you're gonna,
remains, but we're
oh,
gonna
okay, and you're
request
sending it up to the mayor,
RFP.
okay. All those in favor of the committee's recommendation? All those opposed? Carries. Thank you. 21.
Mr. President,
Council.
Mr. President, I would like to request a suspension of the rules and to read a request from Attorney Bergeron to extend the date for this particular permit because Attorney Bergeron and our city solicitor are still working on the conditions, and instead of having them bring them down to us tonight in handwriting and with cross-outs and scribbles, I felt it was only right to have those conditions in the proper form for you to review before the next meeting. So if I could have a suspension
We get
to
enough
read
time?
this request for an extension.
Motion is made and seconded to approve Councilman Araki's request. All those in favor?
Table next meeting?
Just until the next meeting.
Till the next meeting.
Yeah, I'll read that. Could I have the suspension to read it?
Yes, go
Is that
ahead.
okay with everybody?
Go ahead.
Thank you. This is the request, if you would choose to grant this extension. I hereby request that the City Council agree to extend the deadline for action on the special permit application of East Main Street Dunkin' Donuts Incorporated to Tuesday, December 2nd, 2003. We do have a meeting on Monday, December 1st. And I would ask that the council support that
Any
motion.
questions on that? All those in favor? All those opposed? Carries.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion is made and seconded to
Mr.
adjourn.
Chairman.
All those in favor? All those opposed?
Chairman, just before we
Councilor
adjourn,
Clancy?
I want to call a meeting of the Legislative and Legal for December 1st at 7 o'clock. At that time, I want to finish up the fees. The fees will, I want to,
Legislative and
Finish
legal, December 1st. All those in favor of adjourning? All those opposed? Carries.